Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. Today we don't have a tutorial or anything like that. I'm actually going to postpone the tutorial until Thursday. For now, though, I have a few interesting builds. Today we're actually going to talk about one, and it was a question that came up on the channel and that I've thought about before, and it was, what use would a Bastion have with glance cannons equipped to it and celestial optics? Well, I happen to have one right here now with exactly that. The shells don't matter. Harmonic Chase thrusters, naturally for speed, rotation, that's about it. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take it out in combat, and you're going to see what the range is, and it's also mixed with Fleet Commander Cobus, but before anybody thinks that he's maxed out, I don't have him maxed out yet. He's only an 84, because I'm too lazy to actually take him out and level him up the rest of the way. So for now, he's only going to provide a 370 meter boost to the range. Let's go ahead and let's go find an in-planet fleet to test on so I can talk about it a bit, because it's more relevant to talk about it in combat than it is out, and you'll see why in just a moment. Why it is so good is due to the range. With a maxed out Fleet Commander Cobus, you can achieve 6,750 meters range on a Bastion using the glance cannon. And as you can see, it outranges the vast majority of just about all of these battleships. Now, due to the fitting, the weapons are extremely heavy, so you have to go with a lighter fitting of weapons, shielding and armor. So, you also can't take resistors. You could also drop the chase thrusters, and you could use Zephyr. But this ship is going to be strictly for kiting because that. It is extremely good at kiting targets because most of them cannot gain on it because it's a cruiser. They're a quick moving ship by default, and they're faster than battleships. And now that you outrange the battleships using it, you can kite them. So this means you can adopt a defensive tactic and just kite your enemies using a cruiser again. And this is for battleships and things like that. Now, that isn't the most that it can do. That's just without accounting for its additional range boost when the overdrive is activated. The overdrive being Firestorm. In this case, when the overdrive is actually activated, the range is then boosted up to either 7,500 meters or more. I haven't actually cracked the shield, so I don't actually know. I think that it's actually applied over the base value of the range, just like the vast majority of all the other range boosters in the game, and it doesn't actually take into account the current range value, which, if it would, that would be 6,750 meters increased by 20%. It would go up towards 8,000 meters without breaking too much of a sweat, if not surpassing it. But again, glance cannon fitting, it's not really going to be useful for offensive combat because your enemy could in turn kite you and just dodge the vast majority of your rounds due to the slow travel speed. However, defensively, you could do the same thing, and you could kite your enemy and force them to attack you from a direction of your choosing. What else can it do? Well, if you set it up for the shield to break extremely easily, you could turn it into a glass cannon, especially due to the health boosters provided by Cobus. So, the conclusion: the Bastion with glance cannons it wouldn't be ideal for attacking unless you're using it to outrange just about everything. You could use it to destroy outposts fairly easily because you would have destroyer levels of range with cruisers levels of health. If you use the exact fitting I have now, you'll actually have more than enough weight on it to be able to equip shielding, resistors, things like that. But if you decide to go with a glass cannon build for the glance cannon, then you're going to go with the level 4 energy glance cannons, and you're going to completely remove the ability to carry anything else due to the weight. However, as it currently stands, it excels at kiting targets and defensive tactics, because when it's on the defensive, you don't have to send it out, you don't have to worry about it missing targets or anything like that, because you're going to be running the vast majority of the time, kiting the enemy, or you're going to be stationary, forcing your enemy to attack you. In this case, it would be ideal because it would force enemies to rush you. And you mix that with a few Zeuses, and you suddenly have a fleet that you can't be outranged very easily. And all of a sudden, your enemy can't rush you due to having to deal with Zeuses. So if it's a Pharmacon fleet, well, on paper, it would do fairly well. In all practicality, you would actually have to test it and find out. However, the final conclusion is, looks good for defensive or kiting tactics, however, it looks terrible for offensive unless it's going through basing. Because then it would be ideal, because unlike the typical cannon it gets, the Epsilon, this can ricochet through targets and it doesn't lose damage. Now, the Echo, the Epsilon, it actually loses damage in bases. 50% actually. So, just something to think about. And I was just decided that I'd make the video because I got it fitted today. I got everything else for it, and I figured, well, it was brought up, and I figured I'd show what it actually does in combat, the range, and what the effective range at the max would be. So far, I am actually enjoying stupidly long-range ships, such as the Bastion, and I can't wait for another ship to come out like it. Hopefully, we'll get another cruiser at some point for the Altarians, a brand new set of their standard ships to at least correspond with the RPS system, because again, most of their ships, since they said it was all pre-RPS system, so they don't have shield regen, they don't have a whole lot going for them, and I'd like to see a brand new set of them. But that's gonna be it, everybody. Go ahead and leave your thoughts below. If you have any suggested builds that you would like to see tried before you build them yourself, go ahead and say so below. I'll be more than happy to test them out, because if it gives a different tactic for a ship, it'll be interesting. But for the glance build, defensive tactics, kiting, it'll be a support ship unless you're using it for basing, in which case then it can be sitting at a pretty comfortable range, attacking targets. But again, that's going to be it. Be safe out there in the void, everybody, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.